All right. Welcome, everybody, to Nebraska Progressive Legislative Study Group Candidate Interview Forum. I'm here with Cori Villegas of Legislative District 14 candidate. Hello, Cori, and welcome. I just want to say that this district is near and dear to my heart because it is my district. I'm in 14.
Yay!
So excited to hear what you have to tell us today. So, thank you for joining us and taking the time. I know candidates have a lot going on with their campaigns and juggling work and everything else. So, really appreciate your time tonight. And if you just want to start off with, a little bit about yourself.
Sure thing. So, as some people already know, I am not originally from here. I'm from Hawaii. So, Hawaii is my home, but Nebraska has become my new home. My dad is actually a military retiree. He now works at Offutt Air Force Base. Mom owns a restaurant out in Bellevue called Onopanai Kitchen. So, she's also started her own way here. My family all moved up here, followed me because I decided to go to college at Creighton University. And I spent my 3.5 years there, and I just decided to stay because I love this place so much. Besides the negative cold weather, that is one I still have not gotten used to. I was able to work at a hotel in Bellevue. I got to learn some sales, and then I decided to work at a day center and kind of learn how to work with those with developmental disabilities. And I even got my master's degree later on in forensic psychology. And now I work at Monroe Meyer. So I work at Monroe Meyer as a behavioral technician in a severe behavior clinic. And that's currently what I do. I've helped my mom at the restaurant as well. And now I have my little sister who goes to UNO here. So we've established our living in this area. And I like to draw, I like to bake, I like to dance, and I do hula and everything. So I that's pretty much about me. And I'm also Filipino, and I'm very prideful about that because I am part of some organizations here in the area, both when it comes to culture and as well as religion, Philippine organizations. And I help out with that, and here I am.
Awesome. Welcome. Um, can you tell us a little bit about why you decided to run for office?
I decided to run for office because, again, I fell in love with Nebraska, and I feel like there is so much more we can do on continuing to be as great as we are. I when working again in like the health field, and I see a lot what my families that I deal with are going through. I also see as a minority group what we are going through, and I feel as if Nebraska has a lot more that can help. And working the day center, working at the hospital, there's only so much I can do. The help I provide for these families are very temporary. And so in order to make it greater for them and for make it more permanent, I realized after working with some senators and mayors, you have to kind of do everything in the house. And so whether that's making through policies or even just representing them in such a way, 'cause there's only so much you can say at a town hall. And so I wanted to run and just be part of this amazing journey and make sure Nebraska is still working forward to the greater things.
Okay, and then along those lines, can you tell us about what your main issues that you're running on are that you want to address that you think are, the most urgent things that Nebraskans need to address?
So my main issues for everything have to do with like public dollars. I believe that we need to protect those public dollars. There was a bill that came out that was showing our money taking away and giving it to private schools. And I truly believe that your public dollars need to remain public so you and your neighbor can both use that, whether that is in roads, public education, first responders, transportation, and correctional facilities. We still need to have that money there. I also want to make sure that we have supportive, inclusive bills that does all groups. So that, like, for instance, our wording, we just had a bill to fix the wording in one of our policies and laws that had to do with slavery still. I believe we need to still look at that and make sure other groups are included and accounted for. That includes those with disabilities, different social class, and races. And then we can have military families as well, and that would help more people come and want to stay here in our area and have our community grow and be more diverse. My last issue would be like, have a better tomorrow. And with that said, keep tomorrow for everyone, and we have to continue on with our policies and make sure we stay on a progressive side and making sure that we still change with the world. And that's very important because sometimes we get stuck in our ways and just forget. Again, back to that bill about the wording, we forget about our wording and that changes. Words have different meanings as the years go on.
Right. And so, along your topics and your issues, it sounds like you have a lot of experience in dealing with adults with developmental disabilities and senior citizens.
Mhm.
Can you talk about where Nebraska you think falls short as far as policies for making sure those people are taken care of, and like what your ideas might be to address it?
Yes, I think the standards when it comes to training can be changed. While working for a private company, I wish there was more someone from like a representative from DHHS to help provide that help and more care and training for everyone. And that way we can have all this like health training. We have more of like what diverse programs can we give to them that would help them with their daily life. Because now that I work at a hospital and I'm dealing with children, I wouldn't have known how consistency is so important with those with developmental disabilities. And so I wish that was more taught and there was more programs that could be given to these people that are dealing with senior citizens or those with any type of disability. I wish there was a lot more help from outside in the government. Like sometimes funding is not there when it comes to health insurances. Sometimes people have to find different ways to provide for their family. For instance, someone can't care for their own family member who is over age and unable to work because they're mentally or disabled for that. And so you have to put your family member into the system in order to get help for your family and them as well, which I really hope we can find a way, and I believe there is a way we can have different policies to provide help to that.
And you talked about how you grew up in a military family as well.
Mhm.
Um, can you talk about if you have any ideas as far as like what might help military families in Nebraska, specifically your district area, which is like I don't know, does District 14 go into Bellevue?
It gets La Vista and Papillion, so from, like, because of the new map, it's, like, from Harrison a little past, Shadow Lake, so where Shram Road is. So, south of La Vista, we have that area, and then east side I am so bad with geography. But, yes,
Yeah.
La Vista and Papillion. So, I know our area is very much about their schools, especially when it comes to, like, Titan versus, the Monarchs. But education is important. So I believe that if we could keep keep our military families here or at least willing to retire and come back, again, that will diverse our community overall, but enticing them in ways where education. So maybe providing a tuition discount or waiver, which we do currently have here in Nebraska, but it's only for those with the veterans who are disabled or deceased. And I'm hoping we can get that there to where we can have it for active duty and retirees and a point to again, it can either be a full waiver or a partial waiver, but education to the dependents as well as the spouses. And that would be very great for everyone too. Not only that, I think there should be more job opportunities for the spouses, in a sense of like, I know a lot of spouses end up going to teaching because it's easier for them to be a substitute teacher whenever they move to a different state. So if we could provide more jobs there and better pay as well, and an easier process for them to get that certification. I know Carol Blood has helped with that, but we can keep moving on for there. So that's just a couple of them.
Yeah. Was part of the reason your family decided to stay in Nebraska because of military reasons or benefits?
Not so much. I know that my dad really liked Offutt because that's the type of planes he works on. So that's one of the things that he was interested in. But it was more of the cost of living here is so much better than Hawaii. Gas and milk is the same price. It's $5 a gallon about. So that's what really brought them there. And I know my mom was interested in going back into teaching and hopefully get a job here. But for her, there was something stopping her when it came to the certification. And so that's why I think that there should be helpful there because a lot of spouses, especially the ones I grew up around, just all became teachers.
Yeah, that actually kind of leads to my next question. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, teachers are resigning and retiring in large numbers. So,
Mhm.
um, you talked a little bit about certification. What other policy changes do you think need to happen to address this problem? Maybe regarding the military spouses, even.
Yeah, I can't recall at the moment what stopped my mother, but I think because she had a Hawaii teacher certification that it did not move over here. So I believe if we can like partner up with other states and have their policies or not their policies, but their certifications match with ours or have like lower standards, but still not enough to where it cuts off like what type of teacher we're looking for. I think that would be great for everyone. Um, I know teachers are resigning too because again, I work with children currently, so we do go to school visits and we learn and try to teach the teachers how to provide care for our kiddos with our behavioral issues. Sadly, a lot of the funding and the policies need to be adjusted when it comes to resources for teachers. I know that a lot of teachers are still afraid of this pandemic and would like to have some telehealth type of service. And I think providing them with the supplies for that, meaning like a computer and proper programs for it, and making sure the teachers and the students can have an online classroom, but also doing it safely for those who still wish to do it in the classroom. I know when it comes to COVID and the mask, that can be um, an issue there, but hopefully, like they get more funding and teaching. And we have students too that I have students that need paraprofessionals. I believe they need some funding as well because they just increased the pay up to nine something just recently. And to think that they are doing physical labor, helping out with the teachers and dealing with children that has aggressions of some sort or that have elopement, they need some money as well.
Yeah. So, what do you say to because Nebraska's tax system is tied so closely to public schools and property tax, and
Mhm.
that's always a issue for a lot of people talking about property tax. How do you think that we can finally address that for the people that are concerned, and can we do it without, um, you know, taking away funding from public schools?
Yeah, to me, I feel like let's be very inviting. We need to bring more opportunities here, whether that's for the military, for jobs, because even though we have, like Amazon, for instance, a big company like that is moving in. That's giving out more job opportunities for more residents to be here and to help fill up that tax pool. So that taxes won't raise when there's more people because it'll be helping the increase. And I know Papillion too is well known for its high property tax. I mean, you can look at my bill later on, but we definitely just need to be more open arms to everyone coming in. And that's why I'm so much about military families who stay here, at least retire here. And after having this restaurant, this family business, I've learned there's a lot of Hawaii residents and that were in the military that actually decide to retire here because they like the cost here. They like the people. And now that even Omaha is developing in culture and it's just as simple as food, that's just one way we can be inviting. And I know that when it comes to our government, there are some things that people disagree with, but hopefully we can get to a better place where we're able to talk about it. And this state does not just be known as go big red, both in politics and in sports.
Yeah.
So I
So
have to say, I've been to a Huskers game. It was really fun. Everybody's very nice there.
they're happy there. Um, yeah, Senator Carol Blood, you said you had done some work with her on a
Mhm.
military bill. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Well, I didn't directly help, but I did give some input just because she is very close to us and my family. I've met her through the farmers market in Bellevue. And so I've gotten to work closely with her on a lot of items. And so when it comes to the military, she works a lot with the military families, very much so, and veterans as well. I was just there to help and show, like, as my family representing to her, like, we're another military family. We hope we can also get any type of help while living in this state that we're new to. However, I'm sorry, I'm, like, trying to read the same time. However, the bill was helping get 100% tax, exempt for those after retirement, and so my dad gets to benefit with that afterward. So that's very grateful we're very grateful for it, and it's amazing because that's another thing that can advertise to Nebraska for others to be living here.
Yeah, and that's kind of we do have a question from
Yes,
the audience. Oh, and it's there on the screen.
I
Brain drain
love
is
this.
an issue facing Nebraska. How can our state better attract and retain talented employees and young families? Yeah. So you were talking about how your family decided to stay here for those reasons, but they are seeing a lot of young people who move away from here. So that's what
Mhm.
that's addressing. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of young so brain drain is very oh boy. We have to be working, and I feel like we have a lot of yes, we have a lot of talented young people here, and we want them to stay here as well, and I feel like helping in mental health is something Nebraska needs to hop on, and we're not there quite yet, but we're slowly getting there. Also helping those with families, with children, I think we need to provide more services and more care for them as well. I know daycares are suffering right now with the coronavirus. But when it comes to helping those in those kind of public service, we need to help with programs that are just going to be able to train them better. And I think we need to have more mental health days as well for everyone. I hope that answers the question.
I think mental health is definitely a good thing to address for young people. Yeah.
Yeah, and we did get something did pass recently about having, and I actually this was actually a year or two ago. I wrote letters to all senators about this, but they were trying to push, and it did pass, push mental health days for students to be counted as sick days. And that is something that's just a great one step forward, even though it's very small. It's amazing to see because that's acknowledging that mental health is important. It's acknowledging that it's an actual sickness. And so if we keep pushing onto that, especially when it comes to older generation, and maybe this is just stereotypical, but I'm also coming from a minority side, mental health was never mentioned. It's always just like, well, get over it. But we are seeing more and more, and we are getting more research. We are just opening our eyes to other things, not being so narrow minded anymore.
Yeah, and I think that is part of Nebraska's problem is that we're still working on, not being narrow-minded and like like you said, the mental health days,
Hmm.
like we're so used to this generation that I was brought up in, like work super hard and, give everything you can. And now it's like, no, set boundaries, So
Yes.
like the new generation's coming in and like, we're going to leave at 4 and you're not going to say anything about it. And I love that, because it's really those boundaries that I wish that I had, um, when I was growing up. So, um, yeah.
We're all still growing up. We're all still growing and learning. And yes, even though we're taking very tiny steps, it's still moving forward and we're not taking tiny steps back, which is the great part.
I appreciate your positivity.
We're still working on it.
Yes,
Again, we're still taking our steps forward.
we definitely still have more work to do for sure.
Yes, they're
Ask
tiny steps.
us. Thank you for the question, Cindy.
Thank you, Cindy.
So, kind of speaking along those lines, how will you accomplish your vision to support thriving, inclusive, and fully participating communities?
Well, once again, I want to make sure we are using wording back to policies, making sure our wording is still accounting for all these groups. We're not pointing one out, we're not excluding anyone. I also want to make sure we are not making anything taboo. I want people to be able to communicate. And I think that's one thing that we're kind of lacking in here in Nebraska is able to communicate people's feelings and their opinions. For instance, when it comes to the restaurant, we share our culture through food, and that's just a great conversation starter right there. Filipino food is highly influenced by the other countries around them, and it pretty much shows their history. For instance, my last name is Spanish, but I'm not Spanish, I'm Filipino. But the King Philip, hence Filipino, ruled the Philippines for 500 years. And that alone just gives it a good like, that's a good starting to the conversation, like, "Here, I'll teach you more about Filipino," or, "Try this lumpia," which is a Filipino egg roll, but it started in China. So just let's just have a conversation and not be shy about anything, even as simple as those with disabilities. I know that some people are shy to mention it, but there are some people who are just so open, and I have a lot of friends who are open to say, "I have autism," and there's nothing wrong with that. I just do things differently than you do, and that starts the conversation. Or someone who's non-binary. I don't know much, but I am willing to ask the questions, and if that person's willing to answer them, that's great. We're starting conversation. I want more people to be comfortable. I want more people to just support others, and not because we're all different, but we're still all persons.
Yeah, and especially lately, especially the last, 5 years or so, we've been super divided.
Yeah.
And everything is us versus them. So
Mhm.
what do you think, and if you were elected, what would you take to the legislature to be, work with everybody, and how would you deal with the partisanship and that kind of thing? Even though technically we are nonpartisan,
Yes.
we all know partisanship does exist in the unicameral.
Yes,
So
there is no D next to my name at the current moment. Um, but I am very open, and I believe my one of my greatest skills is I'm gonna have an open ear. I like to listen to other people, and I'm gonna work hard to make sure I hear their opinion, but I will still take to other opinions as well. And when I make a decision, I will listen, and I will still collect the facts. I'm a psych major. I'm all about reading articles and learning other factual information. Yes, your opinion matters, and I'm not going to cancel you out because you're a Republican or because you're not the same party as me or you're not the same religion as me. I still want to hear what you have because you're still a group in this community. There's still another person's and I want to hear them out. And I know other people won't agree with what I say, but let me hear why. Let me hear why you don't agree with me. And let me explain to you why I don't agree with you, or vice versa. Like, let's just talk it out. And so, if I'm up there and I'm listening to you, not listening to what I have to say, I'll bring up facts. That's another thing, too. I'll bring up other studies, I'll bring up some other survey and things like that. But I will still listen. And if not, let's bring up a compromise. That way you are happy and I'm happy.
yeah, data driven policies always a good
Mhm. It's always fun, especially when numbers just get a lot of little crazy.
So, are there any other policy ideas you have that we haven't touched on tonight that you want to mention?
I don't have ideas at the moment to share versus the ones I've mentioned previously, but I do want to mention that a licensure bill is going to be coming up. I'm not sure on the status of that yet, but it should be going through with the health committee and everything. But they're trying to get a licensure. And this is also kind of like a little big ad for everyone to be aware of. But licensure for those behavioral analysis. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. So when it comes to the BCBA or BACB, which is Behavioral Analysis Certification Board, I don't know quite because the certification itself is the same initials almost, but it's for those who are work in the behavioral field like I do. They do ABA, which is the Applied Behavioral Analysis, which is a type of studies that they do, and that's what we do at Monroe Meyer. And so they're trying to get that license here in Nebraska, and there's only so many states that do it. And I believe that would be a great way of that. One step forward for mental health, one step forward for the community that needs it, and for children. That would also oh my goodness, my coffee is finally kicking in. Will finally get regulated for those with that certification. And that's another opportunity for those outside of our state to come live here in Nebraska because there'd be more opportunity for those with that license.
Can you explain a little bit more about what that license is, who it's for?
So it's for those of analysts, so those in the psych field. And again, they have their own certification. They are required to still get hours under a supervising doctor, and that helps with applied behavioral analysis. And that's the type of ABA. I'm not sure if you're familiar with ABA, but it has a rep of like teaching kids that consistency. We teach daily life skills for our children, and we also help with those with behavioral conditions. Again, I work with children with aggressions. I work with children when those aggressions that can be like um, hair pulling, punching, scratching you. They also have what we call self-injurious behaviors so like kids hurt themselves in some type of way, whether that's scratching their own eyes or biting themselves. And I even have a cousin with conditions like that. So it's great to see that he got help and he was able to decrease his behaviors, and that's what ABA is for, is to help decrease his behaviors to help them in the long run.
So that licensure would be for the mental health professionals
Mhm.
in this
Yep, and
state?
that's the ones who would be providing the care for these children, and as well as any adults that may need it.
Okay. We'll
Mhm.
have to watch out for that so we can, follow it if it, goes gets on general file and whatnot.
Yes, this
Uh,
is something I'm excited for because I believe there's only 30 something states that are doing it right now, and I would love Nebraska to be part of that group.
yeah, and I'm glad that, we have a variety of people talking to us like you, to tell us about these things because like a lot of the senators like to say, "Oh, yeah, but it's not a sexy bill, so no one cares about it." So, there's these bills that do really important things, but like they're not like super hot topics or whatever, but they actually make very like you said, it's a small step forward for Nebraska and mental health. So we need people like you who can spot that and tell us it's important. So I'm glad that you brought that up because a lot of times those bills are overlooked and there's so many to follow every
Oh,
session,
yeah, and I
and when
think
tries to
people.
follow it's so complicated.
Yeah, a lot of people have, and I think too, like for me, again, I have not been in politics for long at all. If anything, I just hear what I hear on the news or what's going on in my daily life. And when it comes to bills, I mean, some people don't even know what LB stands for, like legislative bill, like LD. Probably people don't even know what that means. I just learned about the unicramble. I'm gonna say that out loud because that is something that is so unique to Nebraska. I did not grow up learning about the unicramble at all. I lived in California, I lived in New Mexico, I lived in Hawaii, lived in Missouri, but this is something that is so unique and special, but I feel that everyone still needs to have some education on how our government is running. And so I'm glad that there is resources online. I didn't do the 4th grade trip that you guys do at the Capitol, but I did read your guys' book and notes for that. And people just need to understand that these bills are worded funny, but you got to read between the lines and make sure you hear out or even just listen to the town halls or go online and see what other people are saying and just learn. But don't stick to just one type of group. You need to hear from everyone else. And I know like there's so many different senators right now running too. Like we have teachers, we have business people, and we have like those in the health field, which is really great to see. And we need that diversity and have that different outlook on so many things that we can like help every regular person as well, especially when a regular person can't read the bill. I can't read the bills. We have to like learn a way to get into it. And I sometimes wording is everything, but you can still find some and educate yourself on other items online and in person and talk and just ask questions. Why not just ask a senator? Their information is online too. Like, can you explain to me more about this bill?
Yeah. And our group, I'll just do a little plug for our group.
Oh,
We
go
try
for it.
our best to educate each other and help each other through the bills and the process. And it's good to have that support too. So come on in if you're not already a member of the group, if you want to follow legislation with us. That's kind of why Angie got the idea for the group because there was so many of us who were like, interested in following, and we needed, a place to come together, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah, and I love the group. I don't always click like, but I'm scrolling and I just love it because again, I don't know politics that well. The whole party division was only blowing up in the past 5 years, and that's when I started getting involved and actually looking into how to vote, how to get my mail-in ballot, how do I actually decide who's better, who do I look into, how can I help? And it's very great to see that your community that you guys are growing are there for each other. Even when there are some people who don't agree, like the comments, you guys are still friendly about it, which I love. And I love to see people bring out their ideas and just, or showing that they disagree, they agree, they're communicating, they're having a real conversation, not just saying, you're wrong, I'm right. And I love that about everyone.
Right. That's what we try to do. We encourage disagreeing.
Let's talk it out before we officially make the correct answer.
So, okay. Do we have any other questions from the comments? I'm
I'm
not
here and caffeinated.
yet ready to go. Real quick, I'll just do a reminder to everyone watching to double check your district online, because after redistricting, your senator may have changed, your district may have changed. Cori is running in District 14, and that is La Vista and Papillion area. If you go to the unicameral website, and it's flashing across the bottom of the screen right now, you just type in your address there, and it will tell you what district you're in and who your current senator is. So just a shout out there. And if you don't have anything else, just let us know how we can support your campaign and how people can get involved, where to follow you. I'll let you drop all your names.
Yes, all social media, I am Cori Villegas NE, but my website does have my link to donate. And if you want to sign up and just have a sign on your yard, simple as that, or volunteer and help me out with knocking on doors, feel free to put all that information online on my website. It's a votecorivillegas.com. And like I said, as simple as a sign. We'll drop it off and you can just put on your yard, put on your window, or just even spread the word is greatly appreciated.
Great. It was so great to talk to you.
It was nice
Thank
meeting you and seeing your face. I'm a very face person, so match the name, match the face.
you. And I want to also remind people that we are doing the second watch at 8 p.m. in 30 minutes. So if you're interested in the legislative update, we'll be going live again at 8 to talk about priority bills. Aaron will be on to talk about the housing bill. Um, and our next candidate interview will be a week from tonight. Sarah Slattery for District 2. I think I got all my plugs in now. So, Cori, thank you again, and best of luck in your campaign.
Thank you so much, Brooklyn. And thank you, Angie, for your help as well.
Good night.